Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I was just reading her bio and I picked up on something that I want to get to in just a couple of minutes because it's kind of blowing my mind literally a second ago. But if you're somebody who feels very stressed out, very burned out, you just can't do it anymore. Maybe the energy around you, within you, isn't right. And especially if you're a busy mom, especially if you're a nurse, she specializes in helping those people and many more kind of figure this whole energy stress connection, help you feel reinvigorated, just having more energy. And she's back with us. Great to talk with Jackie Thomas, coach and former nurse, right? If I remember correctly.
I'm still practicing as a nurse.
You are? Okay, I couldn't remember. But I want to go back to a time when you this was on your bio on your website. I literally just happened to see it, that you were dreading the job that you had at that moment and you manifested a sprained ankle and then you couldn't walk.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
Like I said, everything is energy. We have a conscious mind and we have an unconscious mind. The conscious mind is 10% of us. That is like you from the neck up. Or if you look at a picture of an iceberg, the conscious mind is what you see of the iceberg above the water. The unconscious mind is everything below the water, or everything the neck down. And that is where all your values, your beliefs, everything that has you've ever experienced in your life, that is recorded in the unconscious. So, when you have the internal dialogue and you're going out day to day, I don't like this job, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I'm stressed, and you're repeating this to yourself day in, day out, eventually, and especially if you're not taking any breaks for yourself, your unconscious mind will create a situation in order for you to take a break. So I literally took a broke of my ankle so that I couldn't work anymore.
Wow.
And it's all unconscious, right? We're not consciously aware of that.
And that just goes to show what's going on with the energy in our lives. If it's not good energy, if you're even setting bad energy to yourself, just in a way you did, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because your immune system is constantly eavesdropping on your internal dialogue. So if you're saying things like, I'm stupid, or I suck, or I'm not good enough, your immune system is constantly listening to that. And you end up actually manifesting and creating illness and dis-ease within the body, which is all energy. Anybody who has studied science or remembers science from grade 9 and 10 knows that everything is molecules. And all these molecules are just vibrating at different speeds. And the different speeds is what makes something solid or appear solid or be more fluid. So with everything being energy, that includes our thoughts and our emotions. And Abraham and Esther Hicks, if you're familiar with the law of attraction work, they say that all of our energy, they have the emotional guidance scale. So they have high vibrational emotions, which is love, joy, optimism. And then you have lower vibrational emotions, which are anger, frustration, sadness, depression. And they have a whole scale, which looks like an hourglass. So you can see where you're hanging out in this emotional guidance scale. And if that's the energy that you're bringing into your day to day, then that's your results that you're producing in your life. And you can see what your results are based off of what's in your life. Are you happy in your marriage? Are you happy in your job? Are you happy with your kids? Or are you hanging out in depression and sadness and anger and frustration? This is all energy.
Wow. Well, based on what you said before, I'm going to flip it around. I am a genius. I'm the brightest guy in the world. I'm happy. It's just like, can you flip it around and just change your mindset like that, and then have it eventually get within you?
I believe that people can change. Can you do it just like that? Not so much. And the reason being is because
Mm.
our nervous system records our actions and our behaviors. I believe we spoke last week about routine. Our routines get ingrained in our nervous system. So then we are running on autopilot. That is the unconscious mind. So that autopilot, you may say to yourself, oh, I'm going to start going to the gym and I'm going to start eating healthier, which a lot of people do at the beginning of every year, right? And these goals end up falling to the wayside for many people after just a few weeks because one day they wake up tired and they're like, oh, I don't feel like it. So then they revert back to their default routine, which is what the behavior was before they made the conscious goal. So it's getting help and support from an outside source is often what helps people to actually make those kinds of transformation. The other thing that can happen in a person's life to create massive change is extreme pain. So they have an extreme pain in their life. They have a motor vehicle accident, which causes them to realize, oh my God, like I only have this one life. Or they have some other scary diagnoses. So it's often some sort of major pain that actually propels them to make the change on their own. But for the rest of us who don't experience or get to that pain level, we end up reverting back to our routine ways, which is all the programs that were installed in us during our childhood. And that's within our nervous system. So that's a part of the work that I do when I'm working with clients is basically plucking out the routines or habits that are not serving a person that's stuck in their nervous system, and then creating a new pathway, new neural networks that's going to be beneficial to where they want to be and what they want to do in their lives.
Basically reprogramming them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not, I don't want that to sound scary to some people like, oh, she's going to reprogram my mind. I'm going to be opening up my bank account and doing all this stuff. No, this is just changing the programming that went in when you were a child that we're still running, but doesn't support you when you're an adult.
Exactly. We are supercomputers. Each and every one of us is a supercomputer. It's amazing what our bodies are capable of and what we can do. And we all received certain programming that was downloaded or uploaded into our supercomputers during our childhood. And even up to the age of 21 and 35, because there's different stages.
Oh, wow. I didn't know. I've never heard that. Don't mean to cut you off, but whoa.
Yeah, zero to seven.
Yes.
That's the imprint stage. Most of us know about that stage. That is the stage when the child is soaking up everything. They are absorbing absolutely every experience and they are watching every move the people in their world are doing,
Yep.
right? And that could be that can be religion, that's culture, that is roles and responsibilities within the household, that's education about anything and everything. That is also poverty thinking or versus rich, like people who are wealthy and manage money well and have money coming to them. All of these things the child is picking up 0 to 7. And then from 7 to 14, they are modeling the people in their world. So they're modeling their parents or perhaps a superhero that they see on TV. You know, a lot of kids will have a superhero. And it's also dependent on media, of what's going on in the media and the world at the time when the child is growing up. And then they have their socialization period from 14 to 21, where they learn to separate themselves from their parents and become their own individual person with their friends. That's why adolescence is so hard for parents because you no longer have this sweet little child who wants to please mommy and daddy. You have this child who's like, no, I got to do things my way. And 16-year-olds, they know it all. We've all been there.
Hmm.
And then we have,
Have one.
right? And then we have our 21 to 35, which is the period in which we are gaining our education. So this is our years in which some of us go to college or university and we get that type of programming. For me, that type of programming is nursing. For you, perhaps it's communications. For other people, it's whatever field they've decided to go into. That is another set of program that is installed into your supercomputer. And all of this kind of comes to wrapping up to an end around the age of 30 to 35 years of age. So if you're older than that and you start seeing patterns in your life that are no longer serving you, it's due to these programs that you've picked up along the way. So what we do is format the computer, get rid of that information. It's not everything. We're not taking everything away from you. It's based
Sure.
on an individual person and each client's need and what their desires are. What's not serving you, we come to the realization and acknowledgement of what isn't serving, and then we create the future that you want by creating new habits, new routines. For some of it, it's new resources and new skills. Because if you grew up in a poverty household and you want to be living wealthy, well, you didn't learn the neural pathways in order to be a wealthy person. So you need to learn those skills and practice those habits to become that.
It's so true. And I have a friend who she always says the same thing. I can't make enough money. I don't know. How am I going to buy a car? I work. I have multiple jobs. I don't make enough money. I'm never going to make enough money. And I know that goes back to her childhood. How
Mm-hmm.
many of our parents have said the same thing? What are you doing? Money doesn't grow on trees.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we all internalize that differently. She may have taken it this way. You and I may have just, threw it out the window, didn't even affect us. And then her ex-husband, I believe there was something there in terms of money. So that's what she believes, whether she believes that she's doing it or not, she is. And that's what's holding her back. And she's a great person, wonderful lover. She's connects people together. She does all this great work, charity work. She's a single mom. I'm like, you need to make money.
Mm.
What this is all great. And I almost feel like she's running away from that, where she needs to confront that. All of this being said, Jackie, how do you take the programs out or reprogram us? I know there's different modalities. How do you do it?
I use neuro-linguistic programming, and
Okay. All right.
specifically, I use wonderful tools, strategies. Changing a person's strategy
Mm-hmm.
is one way to pluck out. Our first initial session with a client, that alone creates a lot of awareness around what's going on and allows us to get to the root of where the programming came from. Because you need to get to the root. If you think about a dandelion and you just cut it off at the surface of the grass, it's going to grow back and it grows even stronger. Well, we get to the root of it and then take it out from there. So utilizing a program called Quantum Change Process, which is a session that I do with clients to get to the root of the issue. And by the end of the 3 hours, it's out, it's gone, it's out of the nervous system. And then you are supported with information so that you can start building the new neural networks and programs that you want so that you can be living the life that you want. For myself, I looked at myself as an introvert.
Hmm.
And just based on my own life experiences, I had this limiting belief running that people didn't like me. So everywhere I went in this world, everyone was my enemy, and I couldn't speak to anybody really unless they spoke to me, which made my life really challenging. And
Hmm.
honestly, at the core, all I really wanted was to connect with people, to to make friends and belong and be loved just like every other human being on the face of the planet. But here I'm walking around thinking that nobody likes me everywhere I go. So I've got this scowl on my face and I'm not overly friendly because I believe automatically that you don't like me. When I released that limiting belief through a technique called quantum time release, which is just a simple session that takes about 2.5 hours to do. After that session, transformation, oh my God, like it's just the words are hard to come by to explain how much it
Wow.
transformed my life. My relationships at work immediately improved. My relationships in my home immediately improved. I'm doing a podcast now. I'm doing presentations. These are things that were definitely not on my radar for possibility when you think nobody likes you, when you
I would
have
never
that kind of
even
a belief.
detect that, Jackie. Never in a million years. Um, that that process that takes care of that, is that similar to, give me a moment here. I had it done. I'm trying to remember what it was. Timeline regression?
It's similar. It's along the lines of timeline therapy, which is an NLP modality. I'm trained through Avalon Empowerment with my coaching tools, and they've taught NLP, but they've evolutionized it with more forgiveness work, because forgiveness is an incredible change agent. Forgiveness is not about letting the other person off of the hook, but about giving yourself back your power. So, a lot of the work that we do has forgiveness integrated into it, which is just incredibly transformational within itself.
Hmm. Let's go back for a moment about your challenges connecting with people and that block there. Where did that come from?
My childhood.
Okay. And how
Definitely.
did now, same thing. I had things going on. By the way, I lacked massive confidence. Um, I've been doing this a long time, way into my career, but nobody ever knew it.
Right.
And it goes right back to my childhood. And when I did hypnotherapy, NLP, day one with the practitioner, take me right back to my childhood. Not that it was bad, but there's stuff there that I know connected. I call it connecting the dots to now. I just
Mhm.
knew, let's not waste any time. Just go right back. Let's start there. We're going to figure it out and then work our way back. You knew it was your childhood.
Mhm.
Many of us don't or may not. How do you figure that out, or do you need to when you work with somebody?
It is about figuring that out, and it's also determining the underlying emotion. So we ask a series of questions that gets us to the root of the problem, and we
Hmm.
really, in that detailed first initial assessment, that is what we're doing, is we're determining where this stuff is coming from, and it gets to the root of emotions, because each of us experiences the world in a different way. Each of us has filters.
Yeah.
When we are communicating, or we're experiencing life, there's an event that is outside of us, and that comes into us through our five senses, right? The smell, taste, visual, auditory, and physical sensation, being able to touch things. So we are filtering an experience through those five senses, and it comes into us, and then it's filtered through deleting, distorting, and generalizing that information,
Hmm.
because we are faced with more than 11 million bits of information every single second. Our supercomputer cannot tend to more than 11 million bits of information every single second. So we by need must delete and distort and generalize information. Plus, there are more filters. There's time, there's space, there's so much more filters that the event goes through. So the event is no longer the event, but our perception of the event. So you did have loving and well meaning parents, but your experience and how you perceived the situation that created your lack of confidence in yourself is yours. So we
Yeah.
get to the root of that and how it made you feel. And just by communicating it and expressing it, brings light. And as Brene Brown says, you know, Brene Brown is a shame researcher, and she talks about how shame grows. And if you put shame in a petri dish and you keep it quiet and you keep it in a dark space, then it's going to fester. So if we don't communicate and we don't express ourselves and verbalize what it is that we're feeling and what we're experiencing, then that ends up blowing up into huge shame for ourselves.
Wow.
And when we're feeling shameful about something, we definitely don't want to communicate that. We don't, it makes us feel bad.
Sure.
Shame does not feel good for anyone. So we isolate ourselves, which actually further perpetuates the problem. So if we get to the root of an issue and communicate and verbalize what it is that we're feeling and thinking in a safe environment, then we are able to actually heal the situation and move forward.
Is it now we're confronting the beast to get it done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it painful sometimes? Is it very emotional at times?
It can be. It can
Okay.
be. And it's very liberating. It's
Yeah.
very liberating and empowering. It's like the thing that I've learned about emotions, because I used to bury mine and felt shameful about expressing my emotions, felt shameful about crying and just experiencing emotions. When you are trying to numb your emotions, the issue and challenge and problem with that is that it also numbs the more positive emotions that we want to feel.
I never knew
So
that.
you can't get away with not feeling the negative emotions and then only feel the good, joyful, optimistic emotions. You really need to experience all of the emotions. Many spiritual teachers will say that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and humans are filled with emotions. Unfortunately, over previous decades, they were teaching everybody to just bottle up those emotions and bury them as deep as you can. Ignore them.
And
We don't feel emotions.
it's so wrong, especially for men or
Hmm.
when they're much younger, even boys. What do you got? Big boys don't cry. Stop crying. Come on, be a man. Like, no,
Exactly.
that's bad.
Exactly, because you're denying that person their ability to experience and express how they feel.
Totally.
And then that really just numbs the positive emotions as well. So it's really important to experience the pain and the difficult things, because that's what actually moves us forward to be liberated, to feel empowered and be empowered.
And scientifically proven, the release of tears is very important. You shouldn't hold them back. It's you need a good cry every once in a while. Jackie, you're great. Thank you so much for your transparency in your journey with all of us. It just illustrates how energy is connected to everything that's going on, stress, everything that we're dealing with. And yeah, I had that, what I feel was an epiphany about a year ago. I could tell you where I was. I was in my garage. And I had that feeling that we are spiritual beings in this human container, not the other way
Mhm.
around. That's my belief. Sounds like it is yours. And, believe whatever you want to believe. But some guy named Einstein had this thing about energy. And I do believe he was right. We are energy. So let's get the good energy going with you helping people and essentially eradicating what's going on. How does it start? Is it a free consult with you?
Yes, I offer a 15-minute free consult. You can reach me on Instagram at jackie.thomas_coaching. You can reach me on my website, www.jackiethomascoaching.com. Those are the best ways to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to book a consult.
Yeah, and primarily you specialize in moms going through stuff, nurses going through stuff. Fantastic. Thank you. I'm glad we went down this road. We've talked before, but I never knew that you were so much about energy, and it's all there. It's what we really need to right down to the cellular level. A little scary sometimes, but this is what's driving us, as is the stuff that we experienced when we were younger. Thanks again for being here. Look forward to getting together next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.